education with Cleo of Topless Topics. Raise your hand visually. I mean, like, type something if you've heard of sealining before. Or I guess raise your hand if you haven't heard of sealining before. Because I'm just curious, the average man out there, especially on porn sites like Joystick, who have heard of sealining. And if you don't know what it is, I think I explained it a little bit. No, I didn't explain it in here. But I did post the comic that it originally came from, which is called Wondermark. And it's like sort of pretend old-timey pictures, but it's a modern comic. So I'll read the comic to you, and then I'll kind of explain it to you, just so you. Education with Cleo of Topless Topics. So, basically, what sealining is, and like I said, let's read the comic. So, I don't mind most marine mammals, but sea lions, I could do without sea lions. Don't say that out loud. Pardon me, I couldn't help it over here. Now you've done it. I would like to have a civil conversation about your statement. Would you mind showing me evidence of any single negative thing any sea lion has ever done to you? Go away. There's no need to raise your voice. I'm right here. I'm just curious if you have any sources to back up your opinion. You're in my house. You made a statement in public for all to hear. Are you unable to defend the statements you make, or simply unwilling to have a reasoned discussion? Told you, dude. Not sea lions. Yeah, it says dude, even though it's like old-timey. Told you, dude. Sea lions. I have been unfailingly polite, and you two have been nothing but rude. I am trying to eat breakfast. Very well, we shall resume in an hour. So, basically... So, basically what sealining is, and it's not just men, but it tends to be men who do it the most, is where they don't really care about the argument. They're just, like, demanding endless examples of what it is you're trying to prove. You see it a lot with Trumpers, where they're like, name one thing Trump's done that's been racist or whatever. And it doesn't matter how many examples you give them. They're just going to be like, well, that doesn't count, that doesn't count, that doesn't count. And so you get it a lot with men, where it's like the bear versus man conversation, for instance, where women are saying, you know, this is what I mean. And men are like either not getting it and like arguing the wrong point, or they're just like, you're making it up, or, you know, like they're not interested in having a conversation. There is a conversation, which means that you are receptive to possibly changing your position based on new information, based on new viewpoints. And then there's debate as far as debate bros go, where it's like, I'm just going to yell over the other person and keep like fire hosing at them so that they don't have a chance to talk. And there's no room for changing your opinion. And that's one of the reasons why there's this YouTube channel called Jubilee, and they got famous doing stuff where it's like one conservative versus 20 gay teens. Like I think Charlie Kirk actually did one of those, and people were talking about how they're basically presenting it like they don't really put commentary on it, but the nature, the setup of how they do it is giving equal weight to that video. It's like climatologists who spent their entire fucking life studying how weather work, climate change, global warming and everything, versus some fucking dude who goes on Facebook and is like, it's all made up, and they just play them as if they're the same. And, you know, because of people being dumb and not having media literacy, like, people have apparently lost the ability for critical thinking, where it's like, who do I believe more? The immunologist who has studied medicine their entire life, or this random fucking dude who says, vaccines cause autism. Like, people don't have critical thinking, and so it's incumbent on platforms like Jubilee to not be presenting these different viewpoints as if they're the same. Because I'm sorry, like, there's a clip in that Charlie Kirk one, I think that was a different one, but there's a clip in it where he basically says, yes, if his 13-year-old daughter got raped and impregnated, he would force her to carry the baby. And it's like, you would hope that, you know, anti-abortionists, pro-life, forced birthers would hear that and be like, whoa, dude. But the thing is, if they already support someone like Charlie Kirk, they're going to hear that and be like, yeah, hell yeah, good point. Like, you're just platforming people who are pushing disinformation, who are pushing, you know, hateful opinions, and claiming that they're facts, you know, like all this stuff. Like, you are enabling the fascists by giving them a platform. it is not as if there's not already a shit ton of space for right-wing conservative bullshit. Like, they have the radio talk shows, they have the YouTube channels, they have, you know, Fox News, they have all this shit, whereas leftist progressives, like, basically all we have are, like, video essays and a handful of debate bros. But as you guys know, leftists are so busy spending all our energy critiquing each other, saying you're not the perfect leftist, that the fucking fascists are just running amok with no end in sight. And it's just, ugh. Anyway, sorry, that was a rant. No, like, sometimes there is a clip that we'll get through that, you know, is very good. But there's also, like, the change my mind shit, where it's like, you know, just trying to accost someone out in public and make them defend their positions, like, with no prep. Like, I will never try to debate anyone because my brain just kind of shuts down. Like, it's hard for me to think of examples when I'm trying to talk to someone. That's why, like, I try to do a video like this where I, like, think of my position ahead of time and present and be like, here's my position. You're free to disagree, and, you know, I will consider your viewpoint. I won't necessarily agree with it. I won't necessarily change my opinion. But if you do provide sufficient logic or information to change my opinion, I will do so. Like, we were literally just talking in Discord about how I said, you know, I don't really believe in ghosts and spirits, but if I was, you know, given sufficient evidence, I would change my mind. You know, I'm not like, there's no such thing. And so it's just, I don't know, it's just frustrating. But yeah, like, they like, they will occasionally, a clip will leak through where it's like irrefutable, unless you're like super anti-birth, you know, super forced birth, like irrefutable evidence or argument for something where, like, anyone who's on the fence is going to be like, yeah, that's a good point. I mean, topless equality is like another thing where it's like, you ask someone who's never thought about it before to explain why people who look female don't deserve to have their shirts off in public and online exactly like people who look male. And at least in my experience, the majority of people will be like, you're right, it doesn't make sense. Now, there are some people out there, like that 21-year-old influencer model I met at VidCon, you know, in June, who wouldn't stop hitting on me. And he was this black guy from the South, and I think that is part of it, because he probably came from a pretty, you know, religious area, who, like, wouldn't stop touching me and was, like, hitting on me a bunch. But then I told him about my channel, and he was like, but breasts are private parts. And he was drunk, but he's like, breasts are private parts. Like, he just kept repeating that. He's like, you don't show your nipples. And he put his Instagram on my phone, and, like, it's literally like shirtless pic. And I'm like, so you think that you should be allowed to post this, but I shouldn't? And he's like, well, people aren't looking at my nipples. And it's like, ugh! You think that the people going gaga over your fucking topless model shoot on Instagram are just like, there's, like, no nipples there? Like, how fucking stupid are you? Anyway, sorry. It's fine. I'm not angry in a way that's, like, uncomfortable for me. It's more like I'm passionate about it. But because I'm a woman, passionate comes off as angry. Anyway, back to the video.